Who doesn't love a swimming pool, especially on a hot summer day? But many people, myself included, sometimes pause to think, is it worth it to get in the pool only to have to take another shower right afterwards, to remove all the harsh chemicals from our skin, or to endure red eyes or itchy skin, or for our expensive swimwear to fade? Well, Low-Chlo is an innovative pool sanitation system that gives you clean water without the negative effects of harsh chlorine or salt. Learn all about this amazing technology as I interview the founder of Low-Chlo, Todd Guarino.
Are you looking for new ways to make your sales grow? You've tried other podcasts, but they don't seem to know. Harvest the growth potential of your product or service as we share stories and strategies that'll make your competitors nervous. Now, here's the host of the Harvest Growth Podcast, John LeClaire.
Welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to have Todd Guarino on. He's the founder of Low-Chlo, as in low chlorine. It's a very innovative way to clean your pools without harsh chemicals, without the odors, and really to save a lot of money as well. It's a great product, very innovative. We're going to talk today about the product itself, but also how it can lead to better pools. And if you own a maintenance business, better maintenance of other people's pools as well along the way. But first of all, Todd, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So can you tell us about the Low-Chlo pool sanitation system? So what is the Low-Chlo pool sanitation system?
Okay, John. So in a nutshell, basically the Low-Chlo sanitation system is a non-traditional way to sanitize a swimming pool. So I'm sure everybody out there understands most pools utilize chlorine, or what's very popular now, salt chlorination, but another way to produce chlorine in the pool. Our system does the exact opposite. We actually take the chlorine out of the swimming pool body, creating a much better swimming pool environment for the bather.
And you talk about the salt system, and that really adds chlorine to the water. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Can you explain how that works? Because you think, hey, it's a replacement. I'm not throwing chlorine into my pool, but in reality, it can end up, you do end up with chlorine. So how does that work in the salt systems?
That's correct. It's a very common misnomer that a lot of people think they have a salt pool, in quotes. And what that actually means is the salt is their molecules made up half of chlorine, NaCl. And as the salt in the water actually goes through their electrostatic cell, it breaks down the molecules, sending the free chlorine back to the pool. So most salt system pools actually have more chlorine in them during the whole week versus a traditional chlorine pool. Reason being, in a traditional chlorine pool, you're pouring chlorine in or shocking the pool once per week, getting the level really high, and then as the week goes by, it slowly drops. In a salt chlorinated pool, the system generates fresh new chlorine every day while the pump's running. Again, most people don't realize that they have that much chlorine. They just think, oh, I have a salt pool, but actually they have a much higher chlorinated pool than a traditional chlorine pool.
And how is the Low-Chlo system different than that?
So with the Low-Chlo, what we do is we introduce a very limited amount of chlorine, hence the name Low-Chlo. We introduce that in a non-traditional place in the system on the upstream. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a little bit of chlorine before the filter, and that's going to oxidize off everything that our system actually kills. And then as the water travels through the filter down through our system, not only does it continue to kill all the bacteria, it also dechlorinates and sends fresh potable water back to the pool.
Okay, a couple things there. One, you talked about it sending potable water back to the pool. To me, that means drinkable, right? It's where you don't have the smell, the odor, or danger of drinking chlorine or other bad substances that might be in a pool or elsewhere. So is it really drinkable?
The actual water in the pool is not actually drinkable, but we're sending potable water to the pool. So if you think about residential or a municipal drinking system, it's a closed loop system. So when they're using this type of technology to treat the water, they don't have the environmental factors that your outdoor swimming pool would have. So yes, we're sending potable water to the pool, but over time, the environmental factors do cause it to be non-drinkable. Now, obviously, if you do drink some, it's much better to drink the water in one of our pools than actually a chlorinated pool.
And when we say potable or sending potable water back into the pool, what are the other effects? We talk about it not having the harsh chemicals, not having the odors. How is the water in a pool that's been sanitized with the Low-Chlo system different from other systems?
So if you think about our system, is very similar to if you were just sitting in your bathtub full of water. So it's very crisp, clean, with no odor and no harsh chemicals. So when you get out of it, you won't be itchy. You won't have red eyes. Your bathing suits won't fade. A lot of people think that's the same as in a salt chlorinated pool, but actually it's not, because in a salt chlorinated pool, again, there's a lot more chlorine. It's a freer chlorine than a traditional chlorinated pool, but there's still a lot of chlorine in there.
So is it safe to say maybe in a salt chlorinated pool, it maybe doesn't smell as strong, or you don't notice the odor as much, but you still have the effects of chlorine? Is that true?
That's correct. And actually, the other misnomer is people think it's going to be like the ocean. Well, a salt chlorinated pool is roughly 3,000 parts per million salt, where the ocean is 30,000 parts per million. So you will taste a little salt in your pool, but nothing like the ocean. But again, you will still have some odor that comes out of the water, especially if you're in a heated hot tub or spa that's associated with the pool. A lot of people here in Florida have what they call spillover spas, so it's the same water. So once it's heated up and you get those fumes, you will smell the chlorine even in a salt chlorinated pool.
You clearly know your stuff, right? You've been around this industry for a long time. Can you talk a little bit about your background and how long you've been in the pool industry, and I guess what you've done over these past few years?
Yep. So my history goes back to 2006. I started with a small single maintenance route of 30 weekly maintenance cleaning pool accounts. We over time grew that to close to 800 weekly maintenance accounts that we managed every week. On top of that, we added a retail supply brick and mortar store where we serviced 2,000 to 3,000 customers monthly as well.
So in reality, why is the Low-Chlo system so much better than other traditional chlorinated cleaning systems for pools?
The main benefit that we're so excited about is it's actually just a much, much better swimming experience. And our goal here is to help make America swim healthier. That's our slogan, and that's what we're trying to really educate people and get people to understand that their pool can be much, much more pleasurable to swim in.
So as we're talking about the consumers or the pool owners first, what are some of the ways that, specifically, why is the experience so much better with the Low-Chlo, or a pool that's cleaned by the Low-Chlo system versus other systems they've had in the past? Or really, what benefits do they experience? You talked a little bit about swimming healthier, but in reality, what does that really mean?
So for the homeowner, the main benefit again is the healthier swimming. In other words, there's a lot less corrosive chemicals in the swimming pool. When you go out and maintain a swimming pool, you check roughly 5 to 7 different chemicals every week, and depending on what the readings are, you add or recommend diluting out, depending again on what the readings are. So for the homeowner, they're not going to have a lot of those harsh chemicals anymore. The other benefit to the homeowner, if they do clean their own pool, it'll be much easier to clean because they're not going to need to add salt, like in a salt chlorinated pool, and they're also not going to have to shock the pool every week if it was a traditional chlorinated pool. With a traditional chlorinated pool, normally you shock the pool every week for roughly 10 months out of the year. With our system, you may shock your pool 3 to 4 times the whole year.
And something you and I talked about before is when you shock a pool, when you add chlorine to it, or even with a salt system, when it's going through, right when it gets chlorinated, the levels of chlorine can be really high and they come down over time, right? So there is that sort of danger period that it's really harsh to not get in your pool or hot tub or whatever it might be. But again, when you get in right after that period, it's still really high. So when chlorine is high, when the content is high in the pool, what are some of the effects that can have on you and your skin?
Oh, definitely. So typically after you shock a pool, depending on how much shock, how big the pool is, you're going to want to stay out of it for a few hours, maybe even 24, depending. And what can happen is your skin can get real itchy, your bathing suits can fade. We have a lot of reports of eyes getting real red. And that's even with when people use goggles, because when you get out of the water, your head is still right here and you're getting fumes from the chlorine. So that's one of the worst effects. The other thing that can happen with the salt chlorinated pools is the salt molecule is very high in pH. Now your eye has a specific pH tolerance. So that's when the pH is off in a salt pool, that's another way that you can get really red eyes. All of those which would not happen in a pool maintained with our system.
Well, let's talk about pool maintenance companies as well. So for pool owners, we talked about a lot of the benefits, and it's a much better experience in general, but it also helps pool maintenance companies. In what ways?
For a pool maintenance company, there are multiple ways. The first is obviously they can sell our equipment, and there's a decent margin for the maintenance company to make on the sale, as well as charging for the installation. Once they get the system installed, the other profit now is every week that they go to maintain that pool, they're using much less chemicals. So that pool becomes much more profitable than, say, a salt chlorinated or a traditional chlorinated pool that they may have in the same neighborhood.
And yet the benefits are the same, right? So the pool is just as clean. And we know that pool owners, when they're paying a maintenance company to come, they're really paying for the benefit of having clean water, something they can swim in, right? At the end of the day, that's what they care about. They're not thinking about how much chlorine or how much salt is dumped into their pool or their system. It's really about getting clean water. So if they're paying the same, but it costs the maintenance company less, therefore your margins are better as a pool maintenance company. And the experience is not just the same, but better, right? They have clean water. They have the same core benefit, but the experience is much better. That's what I love about this compared to traditional systems that people have had in their homes for so long, or in their pools for so long. Which brings me to the question, if you have an existing pool and I've got a salt or a chlorine system already in place, can I replace that? It's not just for new pools, is it? Can I put this Low-Chlo system into an existing pool?
Yes, absolutely. So you can, obviously, if you're building a new pool, you can spec it out with our system right away, but this system can be installed into any swimming, or I should say any swimming pool, any residential swimming pool in America right now. We do not do commercial pools. That is another NSF listing that we've applied for and are pending, but currently any residential pool in the country, the system could be adapted to at any time. And the actual installation is very easy. It's actually easier than a salt system, because with a salt system, you also have an electrical component with a power box that needs to get adhered to the house, and then electrical wires run over to either the time clock or some type of feed of electricity, where our system has no electricity, so it's much easier to install.
And you mentioned electricity. That can cause a lot of problems in these other systems that do require electricity. And I know you've talked about how it can shorten the life of other systems, right? We have to replace them more frequently. It causes damage. Can you talk a little bit more about the benefit of not requiring electricity in the system?
Yeah, so with everybody knows electricity and water do not mix. Of course, you need electricity to run pool equipment. You have lights in the pool that take electricity, so it's safe to be in the water, but it also does not like the water. So with a salt chlorination system, they're sending 24 volts DC to an electrostatic cell that has water running through it. Eventually, over time, the water and the electricity fight so long that the electricity fails and the cell will then fail. You used to be able to get 7, 8, 9 years out of one of these cells. Now you're getting 3 to 5, and the cost is double what it used to be. So it's a very costly endeavor to get into a salt chlorination system with these 3 to 5 year replacement parts that are needed.
So the Low-Chlo system is relatively inexpensive to install in comparison to some of these other systems, but also lasts a lot longer, and the experience is much better throughout the process. So, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me for sure, for both the pool owner and of course for maintenance. And then how about new builds? I assume it can work well in a brand new pool as well, a new build of a pool in a home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually the original inventor who took the technology that he saw from residential drinking water and decided to patent it for swimming pool sanitation was actually a pool builder. And he was looking for a way to differentiate himself in the market. This was in the early 90s, and salt systems were just booming everywhere, but everybody in his area was quoting a salt system with their new pool build. And he was looking for a way to get business, but also, again, help America swim healthier. He knew the caustic effects of the chlorine being in the industry so long. So he did go ahead and get this patented, and he has actually been installing the system for over 30 years on every pool that he's built.
So there's a long storied history with this that kind of proves it's not just something that's going to happen or help for a couple of years, but really for, like you said, decades really to come. That's a
Correct.
fantastic case story. I imagine you get a question. It sounds too good to be true, where the water is clean, but also doesn't smell. It's not harsh. There's no chemicals in it that are going to harm your skin, your body, your swim attire, et cetera. I guess, I don't know how to phrase the question. How can this be true? Or really better said, maybe is, does this really clean the water? Is it just as clean as chlorinated water?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a funny thing that the feedback that we get from people that we install these systems at is, why doesn't everybody have this? And our answer is, and this is why we're here talking to you, we need to educate people because nobody knows about it, nobody understands it. And even though it's not new technology, it's being introduced now into the market, whereas before it was just one person owned the technology and used it in a very small area of the country. So with us now bringing it to market and educating people, I think a lot more people are going to start to research and understand that they don't have to swim in corrosive chemicals anymore.
Yeah, what a huge advantage.
The other target of the market that is really going to be excited about this, believe it or not, there are a lot of people out there that are allergic to chlorine and actually cannot enjoy a swimming pool. One of them is my next door neighbor, and he actually loves coming over to our house to swim.
I'll bet. And whether you're allergic to it and can't go in the water too many, I'm sensitive to it. I don't know if it's an allergy, but my eyes, like you said, get red. My skin, I can tell if I'm in there for a long time. And it's like, I don't enjoy it as much. It kind of detracts from the experience of, really frankly, of having a pool. And I love that you solve that problem to really make it an enjoyable experience for everybody, no matter how sensitive your skin might be, your clothes or whatever it might be. Now, the technology is patented. So it's been around, as you mentioned, in a small way for 30 years, right, in a few homes and pools across a small area. And now it's grown to nationwide, right? And the beauty of this is that this unique technology is patented because it's so different from anything else out there. Can you talk about the patent a little bit? What is the actual technology that is protected or that is patented?
So it's called a systems and method patent. So basically it protects our system and the way that our system treats the water from being copied. And basically what we have is, it looks almost like a traditional water softening tank that you may see on the side of residential homes. And we plumb it in, to your swimming pool piping in a way that diverts the water up through our tank and then back into the piping to return to the pool. And the technology inside the tank is just a proprietary blend of metals. And a lot of metals are known algicides. So you have all kinds of copper, silver, zinc, argot, all kinds of these metals have been used for years and years as algicides. And what happens is, as the water swirls through this blend of metals, there's an electrolytic effect that takes place, and that's where the killing happens. So again, we don't utilize electricity. We have an electrolytic effect inside our tank that does the same idea as, say, the 24 volts DC that the salt chlorination system is getting.
Well said. I don't think I could repeat that, but you explained it so well. You clearly understand how this works, and it is quite an amazing technology. Well, Todd, this has been a great interview. Is there anything I didn't ask that you think could be helpful for our audience?
Not that you didn't ask, but we just really want to get out there that we're really trying a few things. Of course, for the homeowner, we really want them to be swimming healthier. And also we want to let them know there are options out there. You don't have to go to the traditional chlorine option. You don't have to salt system option. Obviously, you don't even have to go with our option. There's other options out there too. We want people to do their research and swim healthier. And in the meantime, with maintenance companies and builders, we're happy to help, differentiate themselves, give them something else to offer their customers that also might help them make a little more profit on their side.
And for anybody who is interested, whether you're a pool owner or a resident, right, or whether you're a maintenance company that wants to really install this for your customers, how do they get a hold of you?
They can check out our website. It's low-chlo.com. That's LOW-CHLO.com. Or they can email me anytime, todd@low-chlo.com.
Thank you so much, Todd. And I will, of course, include this, as always, in our show notes. If you're driving and don't have time or the ability to write down the URL or the email address, they will be in the show notes as well. Again, low-chlo.com, 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 as in chlorine. Well said. Great to remember that. And the goal is here to get less chlorine in your pool, enjoy the experience more, and have it last longer as well. So some great benefits for sure. Well, Todd, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Did you know you can meet with a member of my team absolutely free for a 30-minute strategy consultation? We've launched and grown hundreds of products and services since 2007 and learned some of our strategies while growing OxyClean back in the Billy Mays days. We're here to help, so please go to harvestgrowth.com and set up a call if you'd like to discuss further.